We got a new window graphic, and I'm going to show you how to put these on. This is a clear vinyl graphic, and it's actually printed backwards. So setting up the artwork for these is a little bit tricky, but it's really nice because then when it's on the inside of our glass, which protects it from the UV light, from the dust, and everything else. But we're going to show you how to put these on. So the first thing you're going to do, I've just got some painter's tape. And I may have to have Sherry help me do this, but what I'm going to do is kind of get this centered and flat on the wall here, or not the wall, the window, and make sure this is kind of what we want. This is our third one, so I'm getting the hang of it. But they're actually pretty easy to do once you figure it out. I've got my itty bitty level. This is a much smaller level than I would like to be using, but it's the one that I've got here. So what I'm going to do is just kind of go across the top of my letters, and I can see I'm not level, so we need to get that fixed. So I'm going to raise this side just a hair. We'll see how that looks. So I'm going right across the top of my letters here, and I don't think I helped at all. So this side still needs to go up a little bit more. And I'm going off my letters just in case it's not quite level on the print. You know, sometimes these, being as big as this is, can get off a little bit. But that's looking pretty good. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and tape across this top half, and as I go I'm going to kind of smooth this out to make sure I'm not getting a bubble or a ridge in it. So there's that first half. And we're actually going to take a piece of tape and run it down this way and set it just like that. And then I'm going to take a piece over here. So what we're doing is we're going to kind of secure this half. I'm going to peel this back. We're actually going to cut the paper off, and then we'll put on this half and then fold it back the other way, take the rest of the paper off. So we actually might still want that over there. And you got to be careful with these because you can fold them, and then you've got a big fold mark in it, and you're going to feel silly. Like that. That's what we were trying not to do. But these are a really nice looking clear graphic. And they went on pretty good. So I'm going to take that down. And then I'm just going to cut straight up here. This off. So that's the first part. So then I got on Amazon, I got a couple of these little spacer things. And so what this is it's just soft here so I can spread that out.
Hello.
Hey, thank you.
Do you guys have any mail for me?
I don't think we do. So.
Okay, I don't have anything for
All
you.
right.
I just wanted to double check before I left.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Yep, you guys have a good one.
That's our friendly Friday postman. I think these were like $10 and it had two of them in there, but this has got kind of a felt edge on it. This worked really good because what I'm going to do is I'm going to spray water. This doesn't scratch that graphic. So this, I felt like was a really good way to do it. And it was like $10. So So I've just got water here. Sherry did a nice job cleaning the window. We just used vinegar and wiped it down, a little bit of water. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to pull this real flat. It doesn't have to be perfect, and we're gonna have some creases and bubbles and everything, but we're just trying to get it reasonably close. So if you come over, I'm sure you're going to be able to see all these bubbles up close. So I still have a bunch here. I've got a big one down here that. So I'm going to kind of start in the middle. I'm not pushing real hard, but I'm going to start chasing these bubbles out. So this works. I tried to do it dry. It doesn't work at all when they're dry. It was a disaster. But when we spray the water, it helps just kind of float the vinyl on top, and then it'll push the water and the bubbles out. It's really important that your window is as clean as possible, because it'll get little bits of lint or grit or whatever in there. You don't see it until afterwards, and it gives you little pits and things. So we've got a few on here, but between the just that last little bit of dirt that's on the window and a little bit of static electricity, it's like impossible to get every last bit out. So let's see if we can get this to flatten out here. You want to be careful if you've got these big ones like that you don't just really squeegee hard on them, because they will it'll give you a wrinkle or a fold again. So I'm trying to be real gentle and just work those out. And watch your letters too. I noticed on one of my first ones that I had a bubble under one of my letters, and I didn't see it till afterwards, and then I had to go back and fight with it. So you can see that's just pushing those bubbles, and the water's coming out here. But you want to kind of start at the center and move out and away, because that way it's going to kind of stretch everything out towards the corners and give you a nice smooth finish. So now I'm starting to push a little bit harder. You don't want to go so hard that you leave scuffs on your decal here, but that's looking pretty good. So if you look real close, you know, there's a few little pings. That's actually a little tiny bubble there, so I'll see if I can chase that out. So there's a little bit of water back there still. But here, I don't know if you're going to see them on camera, but I can see a few little pits and, you know, bits of dirt in there. I think I don't do this all day every day, so this is good enough for me. I'd love it if it was perfect, but I don't want to pay, you know, $1,000 to have somebody print this and come install it for me, so I'm doing it myself. And if you drive up to the front, or you're just a patient walking in, I don't think anybody's going to notice that. So, oh, see, I'm pushing a little bit too hard, and it's bringing bubbles back in. So then what we'll do is peel this one off, and then we're going to do the same thing opposite direction. So we'll go ahead and start that, and then we'll cut to the finished one. So we're going to fold this back real gently. here I can see I've got already picking up some junk. But I'll pull that back gently to my tape line. Just put a little bit of water. Uh-oh, my tape didn't hold. So I'm gonna have to chase these bubbles out, but we'll show you when we're done. It's just a matter of kind of sliding everything out here. So we'll see you in a minute. So this is looking pretty good. I'm kind of going back over to be sure we don't have any bubbles, and I'm trying to push out any of that extra water that's down there. And I keep seeing a couple little bubbles that I'm pushing out. And I'd say I'm using kind of medium pressure here, where I still don't want to push real hard, but I'm pushing a little bit harder than at first, so it's on there nice and flat. I'm gonna real careful take my tape off and then kind of go back over these lines here, but this seems to be sticking pretty well. So this, I've got a bubble that's chasing my tape down, so I may have to, looks like it's gonna go all the way. But yeah, so I'm just gonna kind of keep going over this. Once we're done, I'm gonna take some paper towels and we'll just kind of wipe over the whole thing, get the extra water off the window. Well, let's go take a look outside too. I think it looks pretty good. So I did these two yesterday. This one's totally dried, but it looks really nice, especially when you're standing back. If you get right up to it, you can see it's not perfect, but I think they look pretty good. So I'm pleased with that. Make this a little bit easier to see, a little bit more visible from the street. At night, we've got our curtain that we'll pull down, then we're going to turn on the lights, so it'll kind of light it up like a billboard all night. It'll look good.